Humans are more likely to remember negative experiences over positive ones. Our brains are wired to seek patterns and make connections. People tend to overestimate their positive qualities and abilities. Mirror neurons enable us to empathize and understand others' emotions. The placebo effect demonstrates the power of the mind over the body. Cognitive dissonance occurs when we hold to conflicting beliefs. Humans are social animals who thrive on interaction and connection. Body language often communicates more than spoken words. The brain processes information based on past experiences and biases. First impressions are formed within the first few seconds of meeting someone. People are naturally inclined to conform to group behavior. We have a tendency to attribute others' actions to their character rather than to external factors. The mere exposure effect states that repeated exposure to something increases our liking for it. Humans have a natural need to feel competent and autonomous. Our self-concept influences how we interpret and react to situations. The availability heuristic causes us to rely on immediate examples when evaluating a topic. Social proof is a psychological phenomenon where people copy the actions of others. Anchoring bias leads us to rely too heavily on the first piece of information encountered. Confirmation bias makes us favor information that confirms our preconceptions. Emotions can significantly influence our decisions and judgments. We often misjudge the intensity and duration of our future emotions, known as affective forecasting. People are more motivated by the fear of loss than by the prospect of gain. The halo effect makes us perceive a person's positive traits as extending to their other qualities. Our memories are reconstructive and can be influenced by misinformation. Social comparison can impact our self-esteem and well-being. Humans are prone to cognitive shortcuts or heuristics to make decisions quickly. The spotlight effect makes us overestimate how much others notice our actions. We often seek out information that confirms our beliefs and ignore contrary evidence. Groupthink can lead to poor decision-making as individuals prioritize harmony over accuracy. People are more likely to remember the first and last items in a series, known as the serial position effect. The foot in the door technique involves getting a person to agree to a large request by first setting them up with a smaller one. The door in the face technique involves making a large request that is likely to be refused, then making a smaller request. Our environment can significantly influence our behavior and decisions. The bystander effect shows that people are less likely to help someone in distress when others are present. Scarcity can increase the perceived value and desirability of an item. We have a tendency to underestimate the time, costs, and risks of future actions, known as planning fallacy. People often experience overconfidence in their judgments and abilities. Emotional contagion is the phenomenon of having one person's emotions and related behaviors directly trigger similar emotions and behaviors in others. The endowment effect causes us to value things more highly simply because we own them. People tend to be more satisfied with irreversible decisions compared to reversible ones. Our mood can significantly influence our perceptions and memory. The framing effect shows that people react differently depending on how information is presented. We are more likely to engage in behaviors that are rewarded. Habits form through repetition and the establishment of routines. People tend to view their successes as a result of their own efforts, while attributing failures to external factors. The reciprocity norm suggests that we feel compelled to return favors. Social identity theory explains that our group memberships influence our self-concept. People often exhibit a status quo bias, preferring things to stay the same. We have a tendency to remember the past more positively than it actually was, known as rosy retrospection. The self-serving bias involves attributing successes to internal factors and failures to external ones. Over time, people adapt to changes in their life circumstances, a process known as the hedonic treadmill. Humans are more likely to take risks when they perceive the situation as a loss rather than a gain. People often rely on stereotypes to make quick judgments about others. The self-fulfilling prophecy occurs when our expectations influence others to act in ways that confirm those expectations. People tend to like others who resemble them or share similar interests. We are more likely to comply with requests from people we like or find attractive. The mere ownership effect increases our preference for things simply because we own them. People tend to overestimate the extent to which others share their opinions and behaviors, known as the false consensus effect. We often experience change blindness, failing to notice changes in our environment. People are more likely to behave in line with their attitudes when those attitudes are strong and accessible. The peak end rule suggests that people judge an experience based on its peak and its end rather than the total sum of every moment. Choice overload can lead to decision fatigue and dissatisfaction. We often overvalue immediate rewards at the expense of long-term benefits, a tendency known as temporal discounting. People tend to favor information that is easy to retrieve from memory. The illusion of transparency makes us overestimate how well others can gauge our internal states. We are more likely to agree with a request if it is consistent with our previous commitments. Humans have an innate need for social belonging and acceptance. People often use mental shortcuts or heuristics to simplify complex decision-making processes. Social loafing occurs when individuals exert less effort in a group setting. We are more likely to attribute our actions to situational factors, while attributing others' actions to their character, known as the actor-observer bias. Our judgments are often influenced by irrelevant information due to the anchoring effect. People tend to be more creative when they are in a positive mood. The illusion of control leads us to overestimate our ability to influence events. We often misjudge our own and others' levels of competence and ability. The paradox of choice suggests that having too many options can lead to anxiety and indecision.